Hello and welcome to Sorted Food. Today we've got a bunch of frozen food and we're going to look at awesome ways for you to hack them into recipes at home. Two normals, Barry and Jamie, with myself. Together we're going to cook, chop, chat our way through a couple of recipes and cook up a feast.
For the purposes of today's video though, Elsa, Anna, Olaf.
Elsa, under the cloche, is number one.
Frozen spinach.
Frozen pellets of spinach.
Yes, I love this stuff. And the main reason I love this stuff is fridge space.
So Barry, you're going to be cooking up a spinach and cream cheese pasta from our Meal Packs app. It's going to be the perfect vehicle to discuss and showcase frozen spinach.
Right, this one's mega simple.
Once the water has come up to a boil, chuck in 150 grams or 5.3 ounces of pasta and cook for 8 to 10 minutes until soft but with a slight bite.
So I have to be honest, frozen pellets of spinach I think are a great hack. I get a little bit nervous if I haven't got any in the freezer. You know, always keep a supply, always on hand.
Not sleeping at night.
Because they are so versatile.
Now, my frozen spinach. Go for like 4 pellets worth.
The beauty of frozen spinach is it's already been washed, blanched and shocked to preserve its fresh, green vibrancy, and therefore it's already shrunk right down. So whereas you might need 400 grams of fresh spinach, you're probably only looking at 100 grams, 120 grams of frozen pellets because you've already lost most of that water.
I nearly always wilt it down into something. Does that destroy the purpose of having fresh spinach?
When you cook spinach, you lose some of the benefits of vitamin C because it's water soluble and it isn't heat resistant. However, you've still got all the other benefits. And there is a reason that Popeye was stacked.
He didn't eat it fresh either, did he?
No.
He got it out of a tin. I've used frozen spinach a few times. It tends to make stuff quite watery. Are there any tips for making it not do that?
If I use it, I tend not to use it in salads or couscous salads or pasta salads, things like that. I do use it a lot in wet sauces. And of course, the other thing is, you're being the hero by avoiding food waste at home because you're only taking out of the freezer what you require. Saves you from wasting food, but there's also a lot less wastage in the supply chain because you aren't losing a little bit of fresh spinach in that journey from field and farm to supermarket or market to your home.
Cream cheese going in, mix.
I know midweek meals are always quick, but this is a particularly quick one and it tastes so good.
Allspice.
Seasoning important, but do it right at the end because you've seasoned your pasta water, you're adding some of that pasta water in, that in itself is kind of seasoning, and then you can adjust.
Layers.
I just adore this sort of recipe.
It's not even sharing it.
It's cheesy, it's creamy, it's spicy.
You're eating the spinach. Can you tell it's been frozen?
In that, not at all.
And obviously when you open the bag, you saw the price on it. That particular one was £1 for 900 grams. So you're looking at £1.11 per kilo. And that is on the whole 3 times cheaper than the equivalent weight of fresh spinach.
Woo.
The problem is with fresh spinach, you lose 2.5 times of its volume as you cook it. So it actually works out about 7.5 times cheaper. And the feel-good factor is not only you saving money, you're probably saving food waste, both in the chain and the stuff that you throw away, and you're still getting all the goodness if you were going to cook it anyway.
You could still look like Popeye. Those tiny arms.
Is that why you're giving me spinach?
Olaf, you're up. Thanks, editor.
Oh.
Big fan.
Gyoza.
Dumplings.
Sorry, is Ben about to review a ready meal?
Now's the time to come clean. Next to my frozen spinach pellets, I typically have some form of frozen dumplings of all sorts. And I find, yes, they're awesome to make at home, but they're quite fiddly. I love to have something like this as a really awesome cheat and hack to add to a homemade broth with loads of veggies and some noodles, and it's a quick throw together meal. And the difficult bit, the fiddly bit, outsource. These ones are chicken, ready to fry, ready to steam, or in our case, we're going to boil. This broth is wonderful. It stems from your recipe that you did for instant ramen.
So you know how to cook.
I know how to cook it from scratch.
Mr. Ready Meal over here.
I've also added in a little bit of miso. I've also added some wonderful mushrooms because we had them in the cupboard. Once your broth is awesome, I'm literally just going to boil these.
This is the thing that bothers me about reheating or thawing meat-based frozen foods. I never know what to do.
If you're defrosting something to cook from chilled, you should always do that in the fridge, so that at no point does it come above the temperature of a fridge. You shouldn't just leave something out on the draining board to defrost, because what will happen is the outside will defrost and get into the danger zone before the middle has defrosted. So always do it in a fridge. However, something like the spinach and the dumplings we're going to cook immediately, you're going to thaw it, defrost it and cook it all in one, up out of that danger zone, and it's fine again.
It'll be like Mav. It goes into the danger zone,
it's
but then it's back out before
It's
you
the
even know
lamest
it.
Top Gun you've ever seen.
It's so good.
In the time we've been chit-chatting, this is good to go. That is a very inviting bowl of food. The rest of the dumplings stay in the freezer until you need them again, 0 waste. Personally, this is a traditional art that needs time and dexterity and a little bit of skill to get it good. And if you haven't got time for that, I think it's a really good cheat.
He's making a point.
I bought that bag for £6.29. It's got 600 grams, but probably an easy way of working it out is 21 pence per dumpling. So I put about £1's worth in here.
That's thrown my head because in my mind, spending £6.29 on a bag of something frozen feels really expensive. But getting a dumpling for that cheap is also really good value. Ebbers, your top tips for buying pre-made actual food that is frozen. Go.
It's got to be something that you would be challenged to make as well yourself, and then to make sure it's quality. Because then what you're doing is you're saving a huge amount of time and effort, and it gives you the flexibility to adapt what goes around it, because that could be a different bowl of broth each week for 5 weeks, and you've got variety. Jay, your turn, lift the cloche.
Oh, pizza dough.
I use frozen pizza dough a lot and I swear by it.
Really?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Why don't you just make your own, you lazy sod?
When was the last time you made pizza dough?
Saturday.
All right, okay.
And here's the thing, bread, the world over, is one of the easiest things to make. However, it does take time. It is a useful hack if you want to cheat and then personalize and customize everything that goes on it or in it. So we're thinking, why not make a sweet calzone?
And we haven't got any pepperoni or...
Are you not a sweet pizza fan?
Why would you have a sweet pizza when you can have a savoury one? Comment below, sweet or savoury pizza?
There's only one you're allowed to put pineapple on, that's for sure.
Before you bake, you'll need to bring it to life. Either defrost overnight in the fridge, Ebbers, or at room temperature for a few hours. Or take a peek at our website for an emergency time saver. Microwave, I'm guessing.
How do you defrost things in the microwave properly?
The thing with a microwave is a defrost setting is only intermittent heating. It's not that it's a lower temperature, it just means it's gonna zap it for 3 seconds on, 3 seconds off, 3 seconds on, 3 seconds off. And in the downtime, the heat travels through and you need to give it time to defrost, which is why if you're defrosting a block, you often need to try and break it up or mix it up or turn it and stir it.
That is completely new information to me.
Jamie, that's probably the best rolling you've done. Like, that pizza is perfectly circular. Shame you're gonna fold it.
I know.
Giving you a selection of ingredients there, a nice chocolate ganache we've made, some mascarpone, and a little bit of stem ginger in syrup as well, so that you've got that kind of fiery warmth with the tangy cream, with the rich chocolate and the crunchy nut.
Filling's done. I'm just gonna use a little bit of this syrup
Nice.
to help stick down my edges.
3, 2, oh no. You've definitely got a top to this, haven't you? So you can't do that. Or a mash it, yeah. Oh. Just commit. There you go. Such a fuss.
Yeah, shut your faces. Right, that's going into an oven for minutes. Calzone.
Me.
It's steamy.
Oh.
Oh.
This might be hotter than the sun, but let's find out. Cheers. Turns out I make good calzones.
What I love is the customization of it, the personalization of it, the fact that you're going to make one cheat, which, yes, you can make pizza dough super cheap and cheerful and it's pretty easy, but by cheating with that, you can actually have quite a treat very easily.
I wouldn't be able to tell you that that was frozen if that was served up to me.
Price-wise, one of those boxes, you know, it's quite a premium pre-made pizza dough, is £2.50, so £1.25 per pizza or calzone.
For that price, knowing that you could have it in the freezer and pull it out any time to make a pizza or a calzone, whatever you wanted to do with it, I think that's all right. You're paying for the convenience of that.
As a man of contingency, there are lots of breads I quite like having in the freezer. Pita breads, naan breads, tortilla wraps. They're good to have to hand. Make sure, if they're in the freezer, they're well wrapped to avoid freezer burn.
Got the Ebbers, last one. Show us what's under your cloche.
Frozen seafood!
Oh, okay. Yeah, nice.
IQF seafood, individually quick frozen seafood, whether it's raw or cooked prawns, mussels in or out of shell, calamari, squid. I think it's really good to have on hand in the freezer because you can stick your hand in and grab a controlled portion as and when you want, and it increases the shelf life.
I have a lot of prawns in my freezer. That's the only way we buy prawns, is frozen. And they're great for chucking into curries or pasta dishes or whatever it is. Haven't found a calamari ring that I enjoy yet that's frozen.
No, that's the thing.
I think I would agree with that. What I've got here is a seafood selection that's pre-cooked, and we're going to make an incredible paella.
What?
And therefore add some of this on the end. So suddenly, paella, that very celebratory special occasion dish, is going to be hacked for midweek.
You do that, I'll get the tortilla wraps out. This is going to be great.
Onions, peppers, cooked down in oil with smoked paprika and in with paella rice. And you want to cook it until you can begin to smell that toasty fragrance of rice.
What are you doing now, for goodness sake?
Just
Sorry, we go frozen food to save a bit of money.
and you
now
talked about this being a midweek meal hack.
Vermouth, great for dry martinis, but let's be honest, most of the time you buy a bottle and it just sits there and it's waiting to be used. And something like this is a great place to use it. You're going to burn off the alcohol, but you're left with that wonderful flavour. Then we're going to add in a stock. And I've got a seafood stock, which I've infused with saffron. That is going to go in. Lovely.
Now tell me, Evers, was your seafood stock one that you made weeks and or months ago and that has been in your freezer waiting for an opportunity to be used?
If we were filming this at home, it would have been, because I actually have some wonderful seafood stock in the freezer, and ham stock at the moment. That's the two I've got on the go.
On the go.
But this is just a seafood stock, at least a cube, but it's one of those jelly things. And then added saffron, added garlic. Yummy.
Whoa, that's a colour.
Saffron, isn't it? Stock in. Twice as much to rice. I'm going to give it one stir, but then we're not going to touch it.
And I'm guessing that similar rule applies to buying frozen seafood, fish or meat, as applies to buying fresh meat, seafood or fish, which is buy the best that you can afford.
Mussels farmed in Chile, on a rope, good farming method. Squid, wild caught in the Indian Ocean. And the king prawns are from Vietnam.
Well, that's three very different places.
So there's a lot of air miles have gone into this bag, but zero wastage in the food chain along that route. So where there is good on one side, there's some very questionable practice on the other. But for a home cook who might be a normal and scared of seafood, I think it's a really interesting stepping stone, and it is very affordable. I think where these are really good is it breaks down the barrier of people who are scared of seafood. If you're scared of fresh mussels and not knowing, is it the opened or the closed drawer, I'm not really sure, or squid and calamari that not really sure how to prep it, this is idiot-proof.
If you had the choice between fresh and frozen for this dish, what would give you a better final plate?
Fresh and raw for this particular dish, because then as it cooks, the juices will leak in. We could have bought that, but this is something that is good to have in the freezer because it's more adaptable to a number of dishes. In the same way as you put the spinach through your pasta, throw some seafood through your pasta with some chilli and some garlic and some lemon, and you've got an amazing clam linguine or mussel linguine. Wonderful. You can put it through salads, you can put it through curries, like you said. You can actually defrost it and toss it in spiced mayonnaise and put it on top of a jacket potato. So many options, and I feel like if it's cooked, it's more versatile. So you can start to see grains now appearing. Now's a good time to add the seafood, to thaw out in the oven, and cook, and drop its juices into our wonderful rice. Rice finishes cooking, seafood defrosts and heats up, even though it's already cooked, and the paella's done. Serve it with aioli, fresh herbs, lemon, job done.
Looks spectacular.
May I?
Is it a paella or no? Let's not do that.
No, different format.
It's absolutely delicious.
How much for that bag of seafood?
That bag was 400 grams and it was £5, which is plenty for 4. I mean, this paella is plenty for 2 and we only used half the bag. So it depends on how you divide it, probably £1.25 a portion.
Which is exceptional for seafood.
Very, very cheap for seafood.
And where I think spinach helps for space saving and cost, I think dumplings is a time convenience and a dexterity skill thing. The pizza dough allows you to experiment elsewhere. For me, seafood is about a stepping stone to getting people to eat more seafood that they might otherwise be scared of. I think all of them do slightly different things.
We've stepped into the unknown to learn about frozen food, and we'd love to know from you, what are your favourite recipe hacks? What frozen food do you have in your freezer? Comment down below, let us know.
And for the spinach and cream cheese pasta recipe and a whole bunch of other ideas for midweek, go and download our Meal Packs app. It's free for a month. We'll put all the details down below. Your best, do you want a muscle? No, you've got one.